Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
Most men say they want resilience. Very few ever get tested for it. Tim Thomas stepped into Special Forces selection at 30 years old. Older than most, no guarantee, no special treatment, just pressure, pain, and the reality that you either earn your place or you walk away. That kind of environment strips you down. It shows you who you are when your sleep is gone, when your body is breaking, and when your mind is loud. But then in his real battle did not end there. Tim went to build one of Australia's leading veteran recovery programs. He helped save over 40 lives from suicide. He raised over $1.3 million for medical research. And he did it with limited resources and zero excuses. He is dyslexic. He calls it a pattern recognition advantage. He sees links others miss: stress, sleep, breath, trauma, performance, all connected. Now he helps thousands through his Breathwork in bed app, teaching something simple most men ignore. If you cannot control your breath, you cannot control your state. If you cannot sleep, you cannot lead. If you cannot regulate your nervous system, you will break under pressure. This is not a soft conversation. This is about discipline, recovery, and why most men are running on empty. I'm Erick. This is Raw Minds, and we talk about what men carry in silence. We talk about what actually works. If this hits, follow the show, share it, comment, and help us reach men who need to hear this. So let's get into it. And I just want to say welcome, brother, to Raw Minds. And where are you? Welcome, Tim, to Raw Minds. I appreciate it, man. So welcome to be here.
Eric, it's great to be here.
I just want to say before I usually get all my guests, if you can just throw out all your links and where people can find you.
Sure. You want me to stick them in the chat? Yeah.
No, just go ahead. Say them. You can say them in
any social platform. 3 words: Breathwork in bed. If you type those in, you will find me. LinkedIn, across those things, that's where you'll find me. Yeah. If my gift to people today is 28 days free sleep using Breathwork. So that's all in there in the website. You can click away.
So I have the app. I downloaded it. I want to get a little bit into that, but we'll put a pause on that first. I just want to say, if you can kind of who you are to the people, kind of your journey a little bit in a nutshell, if you can, and just kind of what got you to where you are right now.
No worries. Well, I had a bit of an event at 25 years old where I had a conversation with the 50-year-old version of me. Because at 25, I'm like, what do I know? I know what 25 years feels like. And to me, it felt like a click of the fingers. So I'm going to click my fingers again, and I'm going to be 50. And what would the 50-year-old version of me say to the 25-year-old version of me? And it went something like, well, Tim, you've shown you can live with not a lot of money, people not thinking much of you, but one thing you can't live with is regret. And I'm like, yeah, if I got to 50 and I had regrets, that would be the worst pain I could ever imagine. And knowing what you really don't want is super powerful. And I sort of use what I really, really don't want, and I'll help it use me to propel me forward to the things I do want, because I tell you, at 30, when I was doing Special Forces, there were some days I was doing it because this on selection, right? Because I wanted to be a commando, right? I wanted the Sherwood Beret. But other days I'm like, stuff the beret. Who cares about that? But if I stop this, I'm going to go back to my old job. And my old boss was a complete a-hole. Nah, not going to happen. And that repulsion was tangible, genuine power in the moment. And at 25, that repulsion of regret was super powerful. And a little bit of woo-woo happened as well. When I was watching the sunrise on my 25th birthday on top of this building, I was doing night shift. And when I stepped back down and my heel hit the ground, this jolt went through my spine, and I heard this whisper, and I innately knew what it meant. It said, turn up 5 minutes early. And that was turn up to training 5 minutes early for martial arts, right? And this was in the 90s before, mixed martial arts was a thing. It was in Australia. It was just no rules fights. It was sort of in these biker bars, semi-legal. You could smoke in bars back then. Sorry?
Yeah.
Like bare knuckle.
Yeah.
although you couldn't bare knuckle like that, but you could open palm, and
Okay.
that was still pretty, you
Oh,
could really
yeah.
open up
Yeah,
someone's head.
definitely.
And what happened was that turn up 5 minutes early. So I turned up to training 15 minutes early, and I'd been training for years, but I'd never sort of turned up early. And I'm just looking around going, what's the point here? And then I start sort of staring at the mat space, and I start sort of blinking, and I start seeing like this image of me training exactly the way I want to train. When I got fatigued, I would find my second win. When my coach said do 10 push-ups, I'll do 10 of the best push-ups I've ever done, and just, be in the 1, be in the 2, be in the 3. And
Mhm.
what I didn't know up until that point, Eric, was my body had been in a particular place and time, but my mind had been somewhere else. And I noticed that like an hour of training, my mind might only be in that moment 100% for 1 or 2 minutes. But 10 or 15 minutes of just staring and visualizing and picturing it. When I saw this thing, when my physical body stepped off the side of the mat and jumped on the mat, it's like I got sucked into this mold, and all of a sudden my mind and body were connected. And for the hour of training, it was still the same training that I've been doing for years, but I was just in that moment. And then this just started this incredible flow on effect where I noticed that if my mind and body were connected, all these cool things were happening outside of me as well. And, I won a few Australian titles in submission wrestling. I won a few professional fights, but back then it wasn't paying any money, and I was starting a family. One thing I did meet was my then wife at the time. I call her my then wife, not my ex-wife, because I do stand for a positive future. And we
I like
certainly had
that.
more good years than bad. So I had all these good things, all the things that I really wanted started coming to me when I took the time to connect mind and body. And it was just 5 or 10 minutes of looking and visualizing and sort of anchoring myself, but it wasn't paying the bills. And then and I'm 30. I didn't have any capacity to get above minimum wage. And for the first time in Australia's military history, they started this direct recruiting into special forces where they got, they sort of pulled out of the civilian population people that were wanted to be in the special forces, but you had to pass, a whole lot of rigorous testing. Not just the
Oh, yeah.
physical, there was psychological, there was IQ, there was aptitude, all these sorts of things.
Mhm.
And I think there was initially, I was told between 5 and 10,000 people applied. And in the first intake, 70 people got accepted. I was one of the 70, but 30 was the oldest allowable age. And everyone's saying, you're too old, you're too old. But I realized when someone tells you you can't do something, that's actually them saying, I can't do something,
Mm.
and I'm dyslexic, so I see things that are obvious. And when I point them out, you're like, yeah, it's kind of obvious. I'm going to point out something obvious about aging. I was 30 and everyone's saying, Tim, you're too old. But then I'm like, you know what? This is actually the first time I've aged. I've never aged before. I've never been 30 before, So should we let other people tell us what we can and can't do at a particular age? So I'm like, fuck you very much. I'm going to keep going.
I love it. Hell
And
yeah.
growing up in the 70s was an advantage because getting beat up at school was just a Tuesday. I was physically
Mhm.
pretty resilient because there was a level of tactile play. We were blessed not to have any electronics that I could sort of, I had a body and a mind that was used to an acceptable level of, I didn't sort of get upset too much about stuff. So when we went to basic training and everyone was sort of getting yelled at and doing all this sort of stuff, oh, okay, it's just another day. And I did my deployments, East Timor, Afghanistan. And when I got out, I realized that, midlife is kind of the time when all the stuff that you've been ignoring gets to critical mass. And I had
Mhm.
been cashing in my tomorrows to live today. I didn't, it was never a priority. Rest was never a priority. And the whole selection
Were
process
you
was,
always go, go, go? Was that like your
it
yeah?
seemed to
Or
be,
did you think like the army trained you to be like that because they're always pushing go, you know what I mean? Heads down, ass up, let's go or wherever the saying goes.
they select out the people that have the tendency to keep going without complaining.
Mhm.
And, that's good and bad, but there was never experienced any fatigue management systems. The guys in the unit, after about 3 or 4 years, would get this really far away look in their eye, because cortisol for too high drives your testosterone into the dirt. And you can keep going, but it's kind of like, it's been years since you've laughed, experienced joy. It's been years since you've seen something really beautiful. When I got out, I didn't know I had undiagnosed PTSD. I didn't know I was in adrenal fatigue, low levels of testosterone. I just went to what I normally go to, and that is shut up, keep going, harden up.
And that's what we were raised like. I'm an 80s baby too, so I'm in that generation as well. And it's like, suck it up. Feelings are for pussies. Just suck it up and be a man, kind of thing. And that I feel that definitely.
And there's definitely a time and a place for it, right? I think this country is made great by men stepping into their power. But if we aren't aware, I'll own this. I wasn't aware that the performance pyramid, it's got a top where you're kicking ass chewing bubble gum, and at the bottom. And that's seen. Everyone sees that. Everyone encourages that. Like, awesome, right? But at the bottom is unseen. That's your rest, recovery, and healing art forms. No one told me about that. So I thought when I was resting, it was a bad thing. So it wasn't until I was in a forced place of absolute fatigue that I started discovering the necessity of this, but also how much of a powerful impact it has to all the other things you want to do. And it's kind of ironic too, because in Afghanistan, we deliberately targeted the enemy's sleep. We didn't know about the science of sleep. We just knew if we could take it out for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet. And then yet we never had any kind of protection around our own sleep.
Yeah. And sleep is huge. You know what I mean? That's when you heal. That's when when you get good sleep, you think better. I've had some all-nighters, and I just feel like shit the next day, man, until I get some sleep. And that's what I told you off, like when we first talked, man. Why I spent so much money on my bed is because I spend maybe even more of my life, who knows, on my bed. You know what I mean? You guys actually think about that. You spend at least half to maybe even more of your life sleeping in your bed, So why not, like, have a good bed, have a good sleep, and do the proper, because when you're tired, shit goes wrong, mentally, physically, everything.
Yeah, you said a mouthful there, because it's surprisingly, it's not spoken to enough. It seems to be societally, it's accepted that everyone sleeps poorly.
Yeah.
And I had 2 hours sleep last night. I just had a coffee. What's your problem? And if people could really get the impact of poor sleep, they would actually start looking at it in a very different light. It's just because it's kind of boring. It's unseen. No one cheers you on for doing it. But to me, the way I explain it to people is sleep is the soil from which everything grows. Okay. But the world we live in is very visual. If we can't see it, it's like it's not real. And if we don't have the trunk of the tree in the right shape, there's people out there, a lot of good marketers saying, oh, we'll fix your trunk with, just spend your money here. If we don't have the fruit in our lives that we want, there's a bunch of marketers saying, I'll sell you a bunch of stuff you don't need. But someone who actually understands how trees actually work, they'll go into the soil. You improve that soil, that unseen space of a person. And this is what a healer will do. They'll see the unseen space, nourish it. And it's not fixing anyone, it's restoring capacity. And I put it to people, when your soil is at 100%, you got no problem getting the fruit in your life that you want. It happens quite naturally. But we tend to sort of wring the life out of our branches and expect a continual upscaling of the productivity graft. I just say to people, what would happen if you always had a tree's branches in the sun and the sun never went down? Well, they'd be fried, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, and we wonder why we're feeling fried.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just say something, man? Because it popped in my head while you were saying this. Is how, like, you become a tree, you grow your whatever fruits, right? Well, I see you as that tree, right? You grow into that tree, your fruits, but now you're dropping your fruits on for people to be able to grow themselves too. You are dropping those fruits, you know what I mean? And for those seeds for other people to grow. And you're planting that way with this breathwork. So you kind of just put that into my head there, man, in mid conversation.
No, good observation, because again, I'm kicking into pattern dyslexic seeing mode here.
No, do it, brother. Do it.
Because in this world, everyone has a tree of knowledge. You've got a tree of knowledge. I've got a tree of knowledge. We've all built our own. And there's a bit of a problem because experts will live a fruitful life. And when you go to them for power, they will say, look, you want an apple, but here's a bunch of seeds. Now, technically, they're 100% right about all these different things, but you're like, well, how the hell? I know that's technically right, but how the hell that looks nothing like what you have. And what do I do with this exactly? Am I meant to spend the next 5 years doing? And so experts can leave people somewhat disempowered because they get technically all the right stuff, but not access to the power they're after. What I have experienced is a master will not just have a fruitful life, they'll understand the tree of knowledge you have. And with the combination of, good communication, we all speak English, but there's a couple of different ways of speaking it, but authenticness within themselves. They're not trying to control the outcome. They're there genuinely to help you become fruitful in your life. And I have to say this, genuine love for the other person. When that is in that space, all of a sudden the fruit that's on their tree can get grafted onto the branches of someone else's tree of knowledge so they can experience the very power and flourishing that they want because that's what a master can do. A master is very different to a marketer because it wasn't until I was in a really vulnerable place, I was messed up looking for healers. And I'm like, this is not a age of information we're in. It's an age of marketing. First 6 pages of Google are marketers. And there's a very big difference between a marketer and a healer. I was looking for a healer and all these marketers were saying, yeah, I'm promising. But then they just don't deliver. They give you a small taste, but time goes by, dollars leave your pocket, and you end up blaming yourself. Maybe it's me. And so, I said to myself, if I'm ever in a position to help others, I want to be able to give people access, immediately. And because what a healer will do is they know they're human. Their energy is not enough for 2 people, but they're connected to something super powerful. And it might have taken them 10 years to make that connection, but they can connect you to it in far, far less time, sometimes just a few conversations. And once you have that connection yourself, once that handshake is made, then the healer stands back and goes, yeah, you've got this. There's no need for a resale. You don't need me anymore. I mean, you can hang out if you want, but the thing is, you've now got this thing and you've got ownership of this. It's, this reciprocating connection. And
it's not like the carrot and the bull or whatever the hell it is, where these marketers, they just hold this carrot and the stick right in front of you. You just keep on chasing it and you keep on chasing it, but you're never gonna get that unless you fling the bastard off, right? But that's about it, man.
This is where people tend to give up. And it's understandable. A lot of people I know, they say, look, I tried to get help. The help didn't help. In fact, it made it worse. Because these people, they're in a state of fatigue, and it's a big effort just to try something, even just to try to trust another person, and to 3 or 4 dozen knockbacks and attempts, and they're like, well, I ain't ever gonna do that again. But the good news is there is really good news here. When you find the right healer, it happens incredibly quickly in far less time than what you think it would. But the bad news is, and I wish someone told me this, the longest part of your healing journey isn't the healing, it's looking for the right healer. When you get the right healer, it feels right. It moves, it happens quickly and quicker than what you could have had in 50 years of going to the wrong one.
So it's almost like, in a sense, like counselor, like some people, they go through, maybe 3 counselors to 10 counselors to maybe 50 counselors, who knows, until they find that right person, that they have that connection with. It's something like that, for people that are listening. If you're not really understanding, it's like that, trial and error with everything is trial and error at the end of the day, and if you don't try, you're not going to know if it's going to work or if you like it or not.
Well, and underneath, I mean, someone who's in a state of fatigue, their trial and error, they might try 2 or 3 times, then they're like, nah, I am spent, no way. So I found a lot of success in not trying to fix people initially, I just worked on the observation I had around pain, but also getting people out of fatigue and pattern recognition. I saw that pain, it doesn't matter, Eric, if it's physical or emotional, or even where it comes from. It could be relationships, it could be cancer, it could be something in your family. I came to this this understanding through the veteran space, but all roads tend to lead to the same thing. So what I'm going to share isn't, in my observation, limited to the veterans, and I don't want anyone listening to feel excluded because I'm a veteran speaking here. And you'll get this in the way that pain, again, doesn't matter where it comes from, physical, emotional, it gets to a certain duration or intensity where it transforms from regular pain to loneliness, isolation. I'm the only one going through this. No one understands what I'm going on. I got all this, and loneliness is the killer. And when I understood that, I also started to understand that if you're the only one that's got your back, you can't drop your guard for a second. Whether I know it or not, I'm always scanning for something that could potentially hurt me, and I don't feel safe enough to drop my guard. So I'm spending a lot of energy. It creates a fatigue state. And guess what? I'm not sleeping. Because again, if I drop my guard for a second, something bad's going to happen. And
That's
the
that
mind's
fight or
like a
flight,
garden,
right?
Yeah, the mind's like a garden. Whatever you water grows. And I was watering the weeds of stress for a lot of years. And guess what were growing? The weeds of stress. And they don't just, I noticed these stress weeds in my head didn't just take over my mind. They get to a certain size where eyeballs pop out of them and they become sentient, and they become very aware of the things that I do that feed them, and they become hyper aware of the things that I do that starve them. So, when I'm walking down the street, I'm seeing threats, things that could go wrong. And if I want to do something that's good for me, it could be, as something as doing a physical workout or going to see a counselor. They would dig their heels in. Let's not do this. Let's do this later. They'd kind of fatigue me. So even if I did get to the counselor, I'm pre-fatigued and the guy's got nothing to work with. And it's like the stress was like, yes, we've got Tim locked in this state. And that's really hard, because sometimes we can know what we're supposed to do, but we're locked in this state and it's like we can't, and
it's like the mimes, those mimes, and it's like invisible wall. You know how they're like that? That's what it is, man. Exactly what it is. And like people can walk through your wall, but you're stuck there, and you can't get out. That's exactly.
Good description, Eric.
I've been there so many times, and like it's not just one time thing. Like it's a ongoing. You got to work at it. You got to work at it. And sometimes, I slack on myself. And I dip down into those moments. And it's okay to take a knee, but it's not okay to stay down there, right? Sometimes it's okay to take a knee. Sometimes it's okay to take a breath. Sometimes it's okay to just, sleep in just a little bit much longer, but it's not okay when it starts to become unhealthy. I just want to put that out there.
And let me just say, the economy loves it when we're fatigued. I call it the economy of dysfunction, and it feeds off fatigued people, because then we start believing that, well, there's things that I want outside of me that are going to do something for me that I could otherwise do for myself. But I believe if I pay money for them, then it's going to, I call it pouring dopamine over dysfunction. I don't know what I'm doing, but these things that I buy makes me feel good in the short term. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, take a lot of pills. And that was me pouring dopamine over dysfunction.
Yeah.
And when the question that broke my isolation, I'll share it with you now, and I really hope it breaks the isolation of those listening. And this is the golden question. Everyone listening to this is up against something, okay, up against that invisible wall. And the one thing that broke my isolation was the question, how many other people do you think, Tim, are in the same situation as you? And give it a real number. Now, for me at the time, I was struggling in a healthcare system that I call a sick care system. But regardless of how you come to this, again, this could be, cancer, relationship problem. Everyone's up against some invisible wall, and asking ourselves how many other people are in that same situation. And, I thought at least like 1 million people. And then I saw those, 500,000 to my left, 500,000 to my right. And when you actually get present to how many people are stuck, behind that invisible wall, I started seeing that, look, it doesn't matter if I only make an inch of progress. I'm making 1,000,000 inches of progress. This ain't just for me. There's people left and right of me right now that I can't see and I haven't even met yet. They're going to say, you know what, I'm so glad back in 2026, you started making certain choices that then helped me move forward in far less time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
want
what it's about.
I want people to be present to you have whatever you're up against gives you the qualification to break the isolation of someone else. Okay. So my bread and butter is veterans and first responders. But if you're up against a relationship thing, a physical illness, you can speak into the lives and the most powerful thing, break the isolation of someone else and say, hey, I get it. This is what I was going through, and here's a few steps that I move forward. And you're going to have people, their jaws kind of pop open like this. Okay. So when I was working with veterans and first responders, the first step to healing was this physiological jaw popping open. Okay. And then words like, fuck, I thought I was the only one. And that is the moment where you start getting a few more options than, fight or flight, safe or not safe, you're my friend or enemy. And once that isolation is broken, then getting out of fatigue, because we spoke about when you're all alone, you can't drop your guard, that creates a lot of fatigue. So breaking the isolation, getting people out of fatigue. So this is where the success metric on all my programs was how much it improved sleep, because that's a very measurable metric. And we found that once we could do that, you needed far less resources to have that person living a flourishing life, because, there's millions, if not billions of dollars spent on mental health. But if you're not breaking the isolation, okay, and whatever you've gone through, that gives you the qualification to do that. And then 2, getting people out of fatigue, we just noticed this inner knowing in the person just kicked into gear. It's like this compass went, oh, okay, we know where we need to go next. We don't need to know the whole thing, but here's where I need to go next, go next, go next, go next. This inner resource got unlocked. It's like the tourniquet came off people's intelligence. They were no longer, if you look at the brain, they were no longer thinking in the amygdala, the reactive state. They had their prefrontal cortex coming online, and it was just a super simple thing. And in the intro, you talked about how I saved 40 veteran lives from suicide. That was a lifetime goal. Okay. I would have died happy if I achieved that. But with those 2 simple things, breaking isolation, getting them out of fatigue, that happened within a year. I'm stunned why more people aren't speaking about this.
And this is how you created your company, and this is what you're trying to push about, right? Is trying to push this, to get people on board, because it's so important. A huge thing is like it's breath work, and what it does is it pulls oxygen into your body, and it helps you breathe, it helps you think properly, it helps you move, without proper oxygen. So it's simple. We all do it, just not to the extent that it can really actually change us, but it's so simple, and after listening to your app, it's kind of inspiring, to be honest with you.
Well, I never saw myself as a breathwork person, but being dyslexic, I'm like, well, if it works, let's run with that. And what's the easiest, most accessible, most powerful thing that I could see getting consistent results? It's your breath. Like the app I made, that's not the high-tech piece of equipment. It is this thing here. It's not a set of lungs we were issued. It's a medicine cabinet with a lot of different shelves. And I'm not anti-pill, but no one's talking about the natural options. No one's talking about how we were breathing before we were thinking. Think of, evolved human beings. And the reason why breath work is so powerful is that deep ancient wiring still lives inside of us. We were breathing before we were thinking or speaking, and it can take you places that words cannot explain, like the peace that transcends everything. And the ease of access was what got me into it, because everything that people need is kind of underneath their own skin. Like my goal for people is for them to become sovereign individuals, sovereign over their own state. Okay, so if something pisses me off, well, okay, in the past, something would piss me off. I go, whatever, but it would accumulate like a handful of gravel in my backpack. And I didn't know why I had to drink half a carton of grog before I spoke to my then wife, because it created an imbalance and I was in pain. And I just found that I just had to do that. It's like there was no way I couldn't. I didn't know breath work could create balance, remove blockages. It could change my state whenever I needed it. But the economy we're currently in, certain parts of us make more money when we don't know our own power. And so my vision for everyone I work with and interact with is for them to become what I call energetic millionaires. Okay. Energy is like money. How you invest it's how you get it back. So it doesn't matter how much you've got, it's how you invest it. And I noticed that if I invested 2 cents in my breath work, I get like 20 cents back. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I invested 20 cents, get $2 back. I'm like, wow, I'm just going to keep on investing in something that's giving me this massive return. And as I've observed, it's not just me that gets this experience. And so it's one thing to discover something and say it's cool. And it really annoyed me how people, when I had PTSD, all these experts would talk about PTSD, say it does this, it does that. I'm like, I freaking know what it does. I live with it. Thank you. Now, how do I do something about this? And I've heard so many goddamn experts say, yeah, you need sleep. Here's all the reasons why. I'm like, okay, well, what can I use right now, right tonight, that will help me sleep better? And they'll give you a bunch of expert
Pills
advice,
or
but
something.
there's nothing that you can access. You really got to have this stuff Uber Eats in. So I spent the time to make this stupid app that, it Uber Eats in your sleep. You literally just tell it when you want to sleep. We take care of the rest. Tap the button.
And when you wake up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And when you wake up.
And that ease of access, because when people are tired, they don't want an extra 6 things to remember, because at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I just really need to sleep. But if you've got that little notification where you just go tap and then you breathe, and then there comes this tipping point where like, oh, wow, this is feeling bloody amazing. And then you sleep deeper, wake up feeling better. Well, that felt good, more please. And that was really easy. And so the ease of access is key. Because when people are fatigued, the people that need this the most don't have the energy to go, oh, I've got to hold another 6 things in my head. I got to look out for this kind of light. I got to do this, do that. So I made, my company super, super easy, to access the most powerful part of the person. And the exciting thing for me isn't just the good sleep. And I've had guys that were 38-year insomniacs. I prescribed them some breath work. 8 days later, they're like, the only night I didn't sleep solid was when the dog was barking. He'd been a insomniac for 38 years, and I'd known this guy for a while, and he just thought it was normal. Right? And his name's Chris, and he's now training to be the world's fastest 60-year-old triathlete.
Wow.
So that's this is what happens when we start. But let me just dial this back. It's not the good night's sleep I'm excited about, although that is worthwhile, nourishing, and awesome. What I'm excited about is what happens next. So we all have seeds of uniqueness, seeds of greatness inside of us. And often if we're in a state of fatigue, they will lay dormant. Okay. But once we improve the soil quality, sleep being the soil, all of a sudden, quite naturally, we start flourishing. We start getting these fruits in our lives that were always there, just waiting for the right conditions. So it's not the sleep that people should be excited about. It's all these unique things inside of you that will start naturally flourishing as a result.
Yeah, and you're going to see all these beautiful things like you're saying, right? Because you put in the work, you're going to have better sleep, then you're going to have, maybe even be better at your job because you're more aware, you're going to be better, you're going to be present in the world more, I find, and it's going to be a little bit more brighter. It helps with depression too, like when I fight with my depression, I do breath work and I do butterfly tapping at the same time. Or I do an exercise called closed palm open starfish, right? So you start like this. Oh, here, let's go here. And it's all about mindset. So you start like this, right? Opposite. But then you start slowing down and then you try to go super slow. And what this does is it gets your mind to thinking about this, and it's you're taking your mind off of, everything else, because you're trying to concentrate to go slower and slower and slower. And it feels weird too. Like when you open and close it gives this weird sensation, but it's another little technique that I've learned through my years of counseling. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get into your app. I just want to say, I will have to say, I couldn't follow my regimen of sleep because it's been a crazy week here. I've been sick. My daughter was sick. Plus, I had the girl move in. So it's been wild. But I have been listening to them because you can listen to them too, And I'll tell you, I have to tell you, the one that I did just blew me away, man, was your morning coffee one, where it's like, get up, let's go. Holy cow, that I woke up not to that because I missed my alarm totally. I slept right through it because it was a late night, and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna check out this one because I think the other one I tried was it the Zen Garden, I think it was, or something.
That's
That
the
one I
nighttime
really
one.
liked. Yeah, that one. And then so I'm switching over to this one, and it's like, wake up, come on, go grab your favorite coffee, or imagine it's in the other room. And you're just I'm like, whoa, we're like, what's going on? I thought I was almost like in the battlefield. You know what I mean? Like you're waking up, you're like, whoa. But it was awesome, man. It was great, actually. I have to say, I commend you on that. Like, I think and you got different levels of different stuff. Plus, you have different minutes. Like some was like 11. I think that coffee one was close to, I think, 26 minutes or something like that. It's close to that. So you have different levels too. Please tell a little bit more about this.
Yeah. So everyone's nervous system responds differently in the morning. Some people like the energy. And if you're the highest level energy one is the super high masculine energy one. That one will kick you in the pants. I have a lot of American women really digging that one.
Okay.
Explicit, language warning on that one, but it's fun, right? But then there's ones that are super slow, really slow, energetic on ramp. And I've got female voices in there. Mm-hmm. So it's like a buffet of different energetic sort of states, but they all have the breath and connection to your body before your feet leave the side of the bed. Because when we wake up, we don't know, but we've got this stuck energy in different parts of our body. And if you can methodically go through bit by bit by bit, clearing that, when your feet leave the side of the bed, you're like, whoa, I feel a whole lot lighter. And the morning one is the real game changer, because the nighttime ones, the breath work is different because it's there to turn your bed into a cloud. But the morning ones, the breath work's different to turn your bed into a trampoline. If I was to, and the reason I did this was because the pattern I saw was, if you really wanted to destroy yourself, you would put poison and negativity into your head going into your unconsciousness. Mm-hmm. And you'd shallow breathe, and that puts your body into a fight or flight, so it doesn't heal properly, because we've got to stay on guard. Mm-hmm. And then as you're coming out of your subconscious, if you wanted to destroy someone, you'd attack them there, And here's what I've noticed, and the reason. So if we flip that on its head, if you really want to build someone up, put that positive, peaceful power in your system, put it through every cell in your body with your breath. So you drift into this state, your body is open to healing. And I even talk about how to position yourself better as you go to sleep. There's a few little hacks in there that make all the difference. But I know that I need to be reminded. Otherwise, I'm just like bed goped, But I've got this little recording there saying, hey, a lot of people don't know that the pillow's not for behind your head; it's for underneath your knees. So if someone grabbed the back of your head,
I was surprised when you said that. I was so surprised when you said that. Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
Eric, how well would you breathe if someone grabbed the back of your head and pushed it forward?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when we put it underneath our knees, our heart doesn't have to work as hard. Our internal organs have room to circulate, the blood flow, and our lungs have a chance to really open up, Mm-hmm. And there's also little things where, again, this is all basic stuff, like exposing your skin to the night air, because for our bodies to go to sleep effectively, our body temperature needs to drop. A lot of people don't know that. And even though I know that, I need to be constantly reminded of, okay, oh, that's right. I expose the skin to the night air, and then you're like, boom, it sort of kicks into this hibernation mode. And it feels really nice to cover up with, the blanket. But in the morning, that's where the real game changer happened. And as someone with chronic injuries, it always felt better going to sleep with breath, because breath is also anti-inflammatory. But to wake up and I normally am in an amount of pain, to then have that guidance to breathe in, breathe out, move that part of your body. Because the thing that I noticed, Eric, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is the way the veterans say it is there's vultures on the bedhead, these negative things waiting to dive in. And if I don't put the positive stuff in, then those negative things will go in. And I'm a pretty positive guy, but every morning I have to choose. And I'm not lazy, but if there's an easier way to do it, I'll do it like that. So if I can press that button and Uber Eats in that positive, that breath, that peace, that power, then I notice that if I can win that first 5 minutes of the day, then I've won the day.
See, you know what? And I implement that in my programs that are coming out too. Like for my coaching, is one of the first things I get people to do is make their bed, because making your bed right off the bat is, you set that goal and you make your bed, boom, you smash the goal, right? You're starting your day off winning, right? So no matter what, you're winning right off the bat. And I learned this from this, I think he was, I don't know the rankings, but he was in the Navy. And he's a high end, and he spoke at some school.
Yeah, I think I saw
forget.
that
He
one.
was-
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that when it first came out years and years ago, and I was like, okay, because I would never make my bed. I was like, what's the point of making your bed? You're just gonna crawl back into those blankets and make them, you know what I mean? But when he put it into perspective like that, it really changed my mind. And from then on, I've always kept that: make your bed, and you start your day off winning right off the bat, so you're already winning.
No, I love that. And I'm sort of building on that, where make your marinade. Okay. So we can create an energetic marinade with our own breath underneath our own skin. And we are what we marinate in. I sort of see humans as this, $500 piece of steak, but if you marinate that in shit, it's going to smell like shit and taste like shit, right?
Yeah. Wagyu, brother. A Wagyu.
Yeah, that's right.
Wagyu steak.
You got it. Yeah, so I'm always thinking, well, I've got to make my marinade, and breath work isn't just for breath work in bed. That's just some critical times as we go through our day. We can control the marinade with particular, breath work that can bring you back to a sovereign state. When I didn't know this, things would piss me off during the daytime, and then at the end of the day, I just had to drink a lot of alcohol. And again, I'm not against anything on this planet. It's all there for our benefit. But when I was using it to try and create balance for an imbalance, that's when it started owning me. I want to own the product. I don't want the product to own me, because there's no way I couldn't drink when I had this crap on my back that was, eating me from the inside out.
And now, like, after going through all this, being in the state you are, all the breath work and everything, now how does that affect you with all that, like with your mindset, the way that you are?
Remember how I said the goal is to be an energetic millionaire? Life occurs very differently when you've got $1 million in your back pocket than if you're going down the street with only 2 cents. If I've only got 20 cents, I'm protecting that, and I'm scanning for threats for that being taken from me. So the theory I work off and the observation I've had is I can't stop this world or other people taking from me. That's impossible, because people can get really good at it, and and sometimes I make plenty dumb decisions myself, right? But as much as I can't stop others in this world taking from me, no one can stop me becoming an energetic millionaire the next day. And that's only me gives away that power. Because I know what it's like to only have 50 cents. Someone takes 25 cents and I'm like, that's wrong. I'm right. I'm going to revenge that stuff. And I've spent years chasing this, completely forgetting the idea, my own ability to become a millionaire the next day. So it's not like, good energy levels don't, make you king of the world 24/7. What they do is when you are off-centered, in deficit, you can come back to center. You can come back to abundance much quicker. You're not low for as long or as destructive. It brings you back to your sovereign state. And it gives you a much higher quality of problem to deal with. So I'm still human. Things still piss me off, But instead of getting annoyed at the world, I've got to, and you know what? I'd love to show you a little centering, an easy breathwork thing that if you took this with you today, it would bring you back to center really quickly as you're moving around.
Let's do
the
it,
planet.
man. Let's do it.
All right.
Hell yeah.
This one is called the breath of possibility. All right. Because when things are impossible, our energy drops and we don't know it, but we're actually shallow breathing. So what I'm going to get you to do is simply exhale as much as you can and then breathe in more. Cool. All right. So start with the exhale, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, out. Once it's all the way out, start breathing in. Breathe in more, even more. Now hold it and wriggle your shoulders. Open up that chest, wriggle your spine, wriggle. Now cover your mouth and let out a really loud yawn. Out. Get it out. Push it out nice and loud. Okay, just let that energy go through your system. Okay, that's your sovereign energy. You gave that to you.
That feels
no one else.
wicked. I'm sorry to say, but like even just after that, I can be tingling through my body, man. I'm sorry to cut you off there,
No,
but I
no,
mean, just
I'm
I
here.
want people
Great,
to know
fella.
that, like, you know, like just that because you talk about that, like, and I'm sorry to just cut this right here, but like you talk about that in your videos or your like your on your app there, and like the humming and doing that, and I never experienced that until actually like your app and the sensation in it, what it kind of does, like it's just I guess because it's the vibration of it just pushes it through your body because we are made of water, you know, and vibrating. It's wow. Yeah, man, you guys got to try it right now.
Well, we're gonna juice this up even more, my man, and I acknowledge you for being receptive to this.
Yes.
And this is the power everyone has, and no one's talking about this. And again, I didn't want this to be a talk fest. This is a real life superpower that you can access right now. You know, and if you can take this little thing away, you are going to be in a far better future moving forward. You know, like a small adjustment here as time goes on, it's going to get bigger and bigger. So I'm going to show you a little something because
Please,
my everything I do has to pass what I call a P test, right? 3 Ps. It's got to be powerful, positive, and permanent. And there's plenty of powerful and positive stuff, but then a week later, what's changed? So if as a healer, we say we care about people, we've got to care about them tomorrow, the next week, the next year. And so giving people permanent access is part of the goal. So, you know, regardless of whether people, you know, access my online resource, if they take this, then I feel good that I've served at an appropriate level and I've fulfilled on my mission statement, which is permanent access. So you might have noticed when you breathed in and you breathe in more, you filled up this top third.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, up here, definitely.
Yeah. So what I love about my job is I show people that, you know, we all own bodies, but we just don't know what they can do, you know, and what you probably didn't know, Eric, and a lot of people don't know, is in your 2 fingers and thumbs, if you pinch them together, you create a power button for this top third, this breath in your top third. So what we're going to do is we're going to blow it out, shake it out. We're going to breathe in rapidly through the nose, mouth closed through the nose. And when we get halfway through, I want you to pinch your fingers together. My hands are up here just so you can see them, but I'm going to have them down by my side. I'm going to push them down by my side, breathe in and raise my chin up. Cool.
Like this?
Yep. So
like that?
Yeah. Power buttons, push down, chin up.
Okay.
All right.
That's when we breathe in. That's when we're breathing in. We do that, you said?
Yeah. Did you want a little demonstration before we kick into it?
Yeah. If you do a quick little demonstration, so
I'm just going to blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out. And I'll just have my hands up here so you can see them, but normally they're down by my side. And I start breathing in and I use that chin and fingers together to access this top third.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right. Blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out. Have your power buttons ready. Out. When you're all the way out in your own time, rapid inhale, open. Now hold it and open your chest, wriggle your shoulders. Feel that chest opening up, that big, strong, proud chest. Feel it opening like a flower. And when you can't stop it, cover your mouth and let out the loudest yawn ever. Let it out. Loud as you can. Come on. So good.
Woo.
and just let
Feels
that
like
energy go through your system. Don't speak to it yet. Just let that energy. We experience this as deep as we receive it. Okay. So just really let it in deep. Your physical body, your conscious mind, your unconscious mind. This is an act of receivership. It's kind of like a divine gift. And letting it into all these different places is a beautiful place to have access to, knowing that you can nourish your physical body, nourish your conscious mind, nourish your unconscious mind through this one thing.
I just want to say, like, if you guys haven't tried this, you got to. Like, it's euphoric, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I've done lots of breath work, but like with the humming, I don't know about this. Like, that's a whole new thing to me too. I mean, I felt that like energy. It was almost like I was in a shower, and it was just energy pouring over me. And like I'm laying, like I'm comfy. I'm like I got my feet up and everything, and it just went like this and went all the way down to my toes, man. That was pretty powerful.
Well,
I'm not even joking. Like I'm not even bullshitting people out there listening. Like this, I just 100% just what I'm saying is true. Like this is. 100%.
I'm sure, Eric, that anyone who knows you you're not a person who bullshits people. And I can see observing you've got a tangible, more energy in your system. And consider that's just one breath. That's just one
Kidding.
breath. And I put it to you, for everyone who tried it, that could be your first proper breath. Okay.
So
and
do that and then make your bed. So that would be a combination, man.
layering this stuff is very possible. And I want to speak to one of the reasons why it feels better isn't just the oxygen. So proper breath gives you proper alignment. And think of our body's energy system. The brain's an electrical generator, and it has these cables running through your whole body. But these cables aren't like solid, they're like squishy garden hoses. And when you step on your garden hose and there's not much water going through, that's what our nervous system's like. So when we breathe properly and we hold these kind of hero stances, it's like the foot is now taken off the garden hose, and you have this energy, you have this connection. It's not just that you're getting more oxygen, and you're not even getting more energy per se. You're just unlocking the natural energies that's there. We're removing the
like
blockages.
Opening the door
Does that
that's
make
like
sense?
locked behind it, I guess you could say. Not just all about breath work, it's realigning everything, you said. And then
Well,
if we can just touch on like what we said before,
Well, this is what a healer will do. They see that we're naturally energetic beings, and they remove the blockages for you to return back to your natural state. So after that, and this is why I never thought myself to be a fan of breathwork, but I've just found it such a rapid way to remove blockages so we can feel our state of natural being. And that was just one breath we took, and that was actually only half of the whole sort of routine. When people and this is where the people that are in a position of fatigue, they're often in fatigue where I'm hurting, I need a solution, and the economy goes, well, here's a really quick one, just take this. Okay. And they don't actually know the cost of taking it. It's like a loan that, I'll give you $100, but you got to pay $200 back. And then soon enough, you need another loan. All right. But it's an instant sort of thing, right? And so I've created certain breathwork techniques for people to get that instant, wow, this feels good, more please. This feels good, more please. And that's the mastery here, for people to get that. I'm even after just one breath, and so my encouragement for people is use these little power buttons as your chance to discreetly in public, when something's pissing me off, I will, instead of focusing on that, going, that guy's pissing me off, I will pinch my fingers, interrupt my thought, and feel that top third, discreetly wriggle it around. Then all of a sudden, I've plugged back into my source of power. I've removed that blockage. And as I go through my day, I'm far less burdened. So the new buzzword around stress is what's called allostatic load. It's not just one event. It could be this one, that one, this one through the day. It's like a handful of gravel going in your backpack. And then before you know it, life's hard and you don't know why. It's not one thing. So that load of stress that accumulates, for me, the quickest way to completely dissolve that is with your breath, because people get present to this ancient wiring outranks everything. And I used to weaponize that when I used to fight professionally. I was a guy that was a, yellow belt, and I could beat the black belt. And they're like, oh, you could beat a black belt. I'm like, no, I just understood the wiring of the breath outranked the thinking mind. So when I beat that guy, I depreciated his lungs to the point where he was a white belt and he wasn't thinking. And I could make the black belt a white belt by taking away his breath, because this outranks very rapidly the thinking mind. And, conversely, if we can master our breath and have that on access through our day, life occurs very differently. It really, really does. And that noise that we made, like a big, nice yawn, well, that's a sound, that's a frequency. And a lot of the stuck energy inside ourselves is a certain frequency. So when we make a noise, we can match the frequency and expel it. You know what I mean? So psychologists study for, 8 to 10 years. They do a lot of hard work, but no one tells them that the trauma goes down deeper than the words can reach. And you can blah, 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 and you might feel good in the office, but then you go back to your normal week and that ancient wiring is outranking all the spoken words. So, the really enlightened psychologists have a certain amount of body integration. There's EMDR, there's the eye movement, all these sorts of things where people can access more than just the blah, blah, blahing, because it goes down, deeper than the words can reach. And again, the reason I like breath is it's just so accessible.
It's cheap too.
Oh yeah. That's why you don't hear about it. No one's making money from it.
Yeah, exactly, man. But I mean, we all do it every day. We all breathe, So why not use that too?
We don't. Okay, unfortunately, it's like we're born walking properly, but because everyone's limping, we all limp, and we think it's normal. So when we breathe properly, that's when we're like, whoa, look how much progress I feel like I'm making, because we're not limping anymore. And a lot of people don't know this, but whether we acknowledge it or not, we're always aware of how each other's breathing. If you don't believe me, go into a public place and go, everyone's going to be looking at you because they like, oh, something's up. Right? That shallow chest breathing. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing it loud or even if you're doing it slowly and quietly. Shallow breathing sends a signal through your whole system saying you're in fight or flight. I'm tapping into my animalistic part of my brain, my reactive part. And if you could just, observe, if you see someone going
way more peaceful, and way big difference.
This is where breath isn't just for you. When I'm in a meeting, I'll breathe for the room. I'll breathe for the individuals. I'll breathe the stress out of the space. I'll breathe into that person. And there's just like if there's someone in the room and they're fully stressed and they set off these ripples of impact and negativity.
It's like yawning.
Yeah. We can be the ones that bring about, the peace that not many people understand with our breath.
I could see that too, like me being stressed, and then like even you bringing, like, because it's the energy that you give off when you're doing that, right? And it's pushing that into the room. And usually light always conquers dark, right? So usually, hopefully, we hope.
Well, we need, just like we need windows in walls, we need structures in place to bring the light in.
Exactly, yeah.
And breath is just the most accessible way, but it does for me need to be a bit structured. So that's why I like, pressing my fingers. That reminds me to breathe. That interrupts the cycle. And if I could just I want to add a little bit more value to people, just so people can experience this in a tangible way. And again, forget everything. If you take this next little thing away, it'll possibly work for you and for anyone that you care about too. So this isn't just for the people in the room. There's going to be other people outside of this room that could be really glad you paid attention to this. So what we're going to do is exactly what we did. We're going to exhale everything. We're going to have our power buttons ready, but we're going to think of something that is ever so mildly annoying. Okay? And when we have that ever so mildly annoying thing in our head, I want you to, once it's there, I want you to blast air through your nostrils, over your sinuses, almost like you're trying to pull air through the back of your head to blow away that piece of negativity. Okay? And then when you breathe it in, we're going to shake it out of our bodies. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. And when we yawn, it could be low, medium, or high sound that helps push out that bit of stuck energy. Cool, cool.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So remember, mild, lightweight. We're going into the gym and we're lifting the lightest weight right now, so we can have this as an experience. All right.
Okay.
So
Let's do it.
power button's ready. Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Out, 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 out. And when you're all the way out, hold your breath and think of something mildly annoying. When you're all the way out, hold your breath. And when you have that thing that's mildly annoying, look up, pull that air through your nose and blow it out the back of your head. Open, open, open. Now shake it out of your body. It's in your body somewhere. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Pull it up to the surface. Pull it up to the surface. Get it around your jaw. And then when you're ready, cover your mouth and let out the sound that gets rid of it. Out, out, out. Get that last cup of air out, 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 out. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. Out. Woo. Woo. And just let that energy wash through your system and feel what it's like to have a blockage removed and energy circulating without that obstruction.
Feels good. Feels like euphoric, like I said before. It's a crazy feeling. Yeah, crazy. Woo! You
Yeah, who
are
knew?
on
Who
to
knew we
something
were made
here,
so
man.
incredibly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, like you got all the medicine right in your chest there, right? So, you just gave the manual how to use it. It's up to the people now to take that step. On that note, I do want to say this is where you can find it all, right? So if you want to plug all your socials one more time for everybody before we say our goodbyes, but I just want everybody to know where they can find you one last time, brother.
Look, 3 words: breathwork in bed. Okay. My gift to everyone today: 28 days free sleep on the Breathwork in Bed app. Simply go in there, tell it when you want to sleep. We take care of the rest. And if you like what we did today, that's like the front of house sampler. You are going to experience a full buffet of amazing breathwork, amazing sleep. There's even couples breath work to do with your partner. And it's wonderful to go into your unconscious in that state of peace. But the most exciting thing is what comes out of us once we start banking this sleep. So what I want to give people is a 2026 with you with good quality sleep, and all those seeds of greatness have the nourishment it needs to naturally flourish. It should not feeling forced, just naturally flourishing. That's what excites me, and that's what I want people to look forward to. And if all we had to do, was take some focused breaths before sleep to have an amazing 2026, would we do it? I would love to help those people, because some people are thinking, oh, this is full of crap. Some people are thinking, you know what? Holy shit, this is the real deal. And if I integrate this is going to make a big difference. To those people, I say to you, give this 28-day free trial a go, and keep me posted. I'd love to know how you go. Erick, can I give you a personal challenge?
Definitely, brother. Definitely.
So my challenge to you is for the next 28 days, going to sleep with breath, waking up with breath. Will you take that on?
I've already been starting that with your app. It's just I can't get the alarm clock, so that's the only thing. But I still have done it. So
because
I'm still there. It's just the alarm clock thing is because of my sleep. Like I said, it's been a crazy week, but I plan on to keep on going, brother. This is it's actually really great. I have used to do breath work a lot and I stopped, so this gives me the excuse to start again. So thank you for kicking me back in the ass.
Now we'll circle up again.
It's already
in
accepted.
less time. We'll circle up again because
Definitely.
it's not a hit it and quit. I'd love to see how this goes for you personally, because I can't serve your people and I can't bring your gifts into the world, Erick. But if I can help improve your sleep, then I that is genuinely a vicarious win, for me. So this isn't the last conversation.
Well, and you are serving my people, the on this side that follow you are, by coming on to Raw Minds, and my people is everybody in this world, and like for my slogan for Raw Minds, it says for the ones that we'll never meet, and I do this podcast for the people that I'll never meet, but they're out there listening, and I know you guys are out there listening, and some people they don't want to reach out, or it's just not in them, but I do this for you guys, the people that are struggling. Bring all my guests on. I talk about my own vulnerable insecurities and stuff for the people that we'll never meet. So I do this for all of you guys. So I just wanted to say that. Well, Tim, I just want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate you. You're part of the family now, definitely. And you got a friend over here in Vancouver. And I think I can say likewise on the other side of the pond over there too, man. So definitely want to keep in contact, and maybe we'll do some stuff in the future. Definitely. I would love
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah. I'll be personally kicking your ass to ensure you're getting a good night's sleep. How does that sound?
Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds
Sleep
really good.
better.
I'm a little bit this week too is gonna be a little bit hard because moving things around. I gotta I'm actually tossing some of my stuff out to make it easier for her. Because it's all about it's balance, man. You know what I mean? And like it's all about comfy. And she's coming into my space. I want her to feel comfortable, as most comfortable as possible, and to show her I don't care about throwing things out. I moved my whole computer setup. I'm in a different room now. I got a whole new setup. I got the couch coming again. So it's like, but it's exciting for me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was worried. I was like, no, this is exciting for me. But my sleep, it's not all there right now, but it's gonna get back there. It's a lot of things are going on, a lot of pieces, and it's been really, a lot of excitement.
You know
But
what I'm
Tim, I
hearing,
just want to say
Eric?
thank you, man.
I'm hearing blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Hit the
Yeah.
notification. Free it, motherfucker.
Yeah, I agree, brother. I agree. I'm with you on that. I agree. Well, man, I just want to say thank you again, man. I really appreciate everything that you're doing for everybody in this world, especially the veterans out there too. They really need it too, man. So I appreciate everything, and thank you for your service for this world, and keeping everybody safe. So I appreciate you, man. Well, everybody, I just want to say thank you again. Check it out. All the stuff will be in the bio. So if you want, just click the bio, take you straight to all Tim's links, and get the app, man. Get the app, try it out. Like, what else do you got to lose? You know what I mean? Like, try it out. You saw firsthand how I felt, and I just did a quarter of a breath, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? Not even a full round. So get her done. Simple as that. Get her done. Anyways, guys, thank you again. Appreciate it all. Take it easy, and we will see you on the fly. Bye. Awesome, buddy. Awesome show.